Hi everyone. Let's learn about principles of life insurance. As you know, every product for its success, there should be a good set of principles, especially in insurance, other than any other contracts. Principles will create an important role to make this insurance is a successful product. There are many principles that we identify in insurance, but when it comes to life insurance, especially, there are three principles that we should learn. What are these principles are? Principles of utmost good faith, principles of insurable interest, principles of proximity cause. So let's learn the first principle, principle of utmost good faith. Uberima Fides. As you know, in insurance, it is very important to have the trust between the two parties. In insurance contracts, it is said that this principle is much more important than any other type of contracts. Simply, utmost good faith refers to the duty of assured to make a full disclosure to the underwriter without being asked. In a contract of insurance, there is an implied condition that each party must disclose every material fact known to him. This type of contract is called Uberima Fides, contract of utmost good faith. To go further about this principle, it is also called the material fact is the material which would influence the judgment of a prudent insurer in fixing the premium or determining whether he will cover the risk. For example, uh, it is very important to have all the information, especially uh, the insurance company, to fix the insurance premium. And with the information, with the relevant facts, this premium may change. For example, the drinking habits, smoking, previous operations, illnesses, past illnesses will have an impact on the insurance premium. So all the informations related to the facts relating to age, weight, height, previous medical history, these are very important in insurance contracts. So it is believed that at the time of entering to the insurance policy, before they fix the premium, the insurance, both the parties of the insurance contract should know all the facts related to the insurance policy. An insurance contract is based on the principle of utmost good faith. So, higher degree of honesty is imposed to both parties of an insurance contract than imposed by any other contracts. This is a very important tool. And also, it says the principles of utmost good faith is supported by three important legal doctrines: representations, concealment, and warranty. So, let's try to understand what are these three legal doctrines are. Let's start with representations. Now, representations refers to statements made by the applicants for insurance. For example, if you apply for a life insurance, you may ask the questions concerning your age, weight, height, occupation, state of health, family history, and other relevant questions. And these information, all your answers are we call representations. These representations are very important for an insurance contract, and when this information is uh, misinterpreted, the insurance contract can be voidable, especially if the representation is material or false or relied on the insurer. What do you mean by material? Material means that if the insurer knew the true facts, the policy would have not been issued, or it would have been issued on different terms. For example, a person who has a lung cancer is taking an insurance policy saying there was no surgery or there was no such situation. So, if we would have mentioned that, definitely his insurance policy will have an impact on his data. Sometimes there will be false statements where it completely mislead the insurance agreement. Relied upon the insurer means some information are relied thinking that the information is correct. Especially this we see in marine insurance as well, where the insurer is have a utmost trust on the information provided by the uh, insurer regarding the goods. And also, it's important to understand some of the informations will not be able to find by the insurance company. So therefore, they believe and they trust the information that they received at the beginning about the medical history, about the previous habits are true. So it is the responsibility of uh, both the parties to share all the related information without any uh, false information or without any uh, without hiding any information. And also it's important to understand the term innocent misrepresentation. Innocent misrepresentation we see also in life insurance policies. It is a material fact if relied on by the insurer also makes the contract voidable. So an innocent misrepresentation is one that is unintentional. A majority of court opinions have ruled that the innocent misrepresentation of material fact makes the contract voidable. So it is important that both the parties give the correct information at the time of insurance policy uh, set. Also, the next important doctrine is concealment. Concealment is also supported the principles of utmost good faith. Concealment is a intentional failure of the application for insurance to reveal a material fact to an insurer. So it is an intentional failure. So purposely won't give information. Concealment is the same thing as non-disclosure. That is, the applicant of the insurance deliberately withhold material information from the insurer, which has a serious damage to the insurance policy. So, in case if the the innocent party uh, went through a loss, the insurance company has always the right to not to make the payment by proving that the information has intentionally not given to the insurance company under concealment doctrine of concealment. Let's try to understand from an example. Joseph uh, applied for a life insurance policy on his life. He had an extensive criminal record. 5 months after the policy was issued, he was murdered. The death certificate named the deceased as Joseph De Luca, his true name. So the name that he has given at the beginning was a false name. The insurer denied payment on the grounds that the Joseph has concealed a material fact by not revealing his true identity and that he has an extensive criminal record. In finding for the insurer, the court held that the intentional concealment of his true identity was material and breached the obligation of good faith. So it's a good example for us to understand a doctrine of concealment affect the insurance policy. This is another doctrine where we see warranties. It is a statement that becomes part of an insurance contract and it's guaranteed by the maker or to be true in all respects. Let's try to understand further about utmost good faith. Most of the facts relating to health, habits, personal history, and family history are known to be party only. The proposer, the insurer, can know most of these facts only if the proposer decide to disclose these facts. The history of past serious sicknesses, operations, and injuries can be suppressed. These aspects may affect the life expectancy of the proposer. So, these are very important facts that you should disclose at the time of entering to an insurance policy. Sometimes certain information is not required to disclose. What are they? Facts which everyone is supposed to know in general. Facts on common knowledge. Facts which lessen the risk. Lessen the risk. Facts which could be reasonably discovered by reference to a previous policy records of which are available with the insurer. So these facts are not compulsory for an insurance policy to uh, disclose at the time of setting. Let's move on to the next insurance policy we call principles of insurable interest. This is another very important policy or is important for a insurance policy. What it try to explain in simple terms, this principle of insurable interest states that the insured must be in a position to lose financially if a covered loss occurs. So for example, if you insure your car and because the car is met with an accident, you have lost some financial um, amount due to this event. So you can see it's the insurable interest have a strong link with the uh, insurance policy holder, and losing that will have a financial loss to the said party. So insurable interest gives us some key uh, indication of who can be insured. The insurable interest help us to prevent two things. One, it prevents gambling, and also it prevents moral hazards or reduce moral hazards. For example, if you don't have an insurable interest, you could even insure a property of another person and you can wish for a loss to occur, which in terms in turns you're getting a claim. At the same time, a moral hazard, a dishonest person could purchase a property of another person and purposely or deliberately cause a loss for that just for the reason of getting a claim. So therefore, insurable interest is a core component of an insurance contract. When it comes to insurable interest, it is exists in two ways based on the type of a policy. If it is a property insurance, it is said at the time of the loss this will be applicable. But in a life insurance, it's only at the inception of the policy. What do you mean by that? If you insure a, a house and at the time of after 5 years, let's assume you sold this house to another person. However, your insurance policy is still continue. Let's assume this house after you sell to another person is destroyed by fire, but your fire insurance is still active. However, by the time the fire occurs, there is no insurable interest against this particular house. So therefore, you cannot claim. Why? At the time of the loss, your property is no longer under your insurable interest. So therefore, you will not be able to ask for money. And at the same time, the the new owner will not be able to claim because his or her name is not covered in the insurable contract. But in life insurance, this looks differently. It is applied at the time you sign the life insurance. So, insurable interest is based on the terms that you identify or name at the time you enter your life insurance policy. Another important thing that we need to understand, an object of insurance should be lawful for this purpose. A person proposing for insurance must have interest in a continued life and of the insured also would suffer pecuniary loss if the insured dies. What do you mean by that? For example, if you have a insurable and that insurable interest may suffer a, may go through a death, due to that death you may need to go through a financial loss, and that loss should be able to measure. So this gives another perspective. So it says not everybody can be going through can side go through an insurance contract unless you have to have an insurable interest. When it comes to life insurance, if it is in your own life, there is no rule. It is have an unlimited extent. However, when it comes to close families, especially marriage, will satisfy the insurable interest requirements in life insurance. Therefore, a husband can purchase a life insurance policy on his wife and name the beneficiary. Likewise, a wife can insure her husband and be named as beneficiary. However, it is important that there should be a financial interest on this contract. Even when there is no relationship by blood or marriage, one person may be financially harmed by the death of another. Now that's very important. For example, a corporation can insure the life of an outstanding salesman because the firm's profit may decline if the salesperson dies. One business partner can insure the life of another partner and use the life insurance proceeds to purchase the deceased partner's interest if he or she dies. So, therefore, it's important, it's not only by relationship by blood or marriage, even if there is a financial harm by a death of the other person, it can be coming under the insurable interest. So therefore, it gives us an idea the different type of insurance policies can be generated. Insurance on life spouse, insurance on life parents, insurance on the life of children, insurance of employee and employee, insurance of creditor and debtor. However, when it comes to insurance of life of children, there are exceptions and it's been seen from country to country. For example, UK and India, it is said the parents are not in a position to open insurance policies for their children, and there is no insurable interest in the life of their children. However, this restriction is not there in Sri Lanka. And also, when as I explained, employee has an insular interest in the life of his employee, and the employee in the life of the employer. As a result, we find uh, employment policies, insurance policies. An employer can create insurable interest in the life of his employees by undertaking to provide a monetary benefit to the family or estate of the employees in the event of a death. Especially the group insurance policies are going with the same under the same basis. When it comes to debtors and creditors, you can always have an insurable interest for the value of the amount of debt. Let's move on to the last principle which is related to life insurance. Principles of Principle of proximity cause. Now this is a very important principle where you need to have a clear understanding what it's trying to say. In a simple context, proximity cause is a key principle of insurance, and it is concerned with how the loss or damage actually occurred and whether it's indeed as a result of a insured peril. So when a life insurance, especially when there is a death, the death can be caused by many reasons. It can be a sequence of activities. So it's important to understand what is the proximity cause of the death and whether that proximity cause is covered or insured. In order to determine whether a loss results from a cause covered under the insurance policy, a court looks for the predominant cause which set into motion the chain of events producing the loss, which may not necessarily be the last event that immediately precedes the loss. And also explained as a direct, dominant, or effective cause of which the loss is natural consequence. It is the cause which is most closely connected with the loss, not necessary in time but in efficiency. Although the doctrine is clear in theory, it is difficult to determine the proximity cause, as a clear demarcation should be maintained between insured peril, expected peril, and uninsured peril. To understand through an example, an insured sustained an accident while hunting. Due to shock and weakness, he was unable to walk, and whilst lying on the wet ground, he contracted cold, which developed into pneumonia, causing death ultimately. The proximity cause was considered to be the accident and not the pneumonia, the disease which was only the remote cause. The claim was payable under the personal accident policy because this is happened due to an accident while hunting. So proximity cause is not the pneumonia. So I hope you have some understanding about the key principles of life insurance. Let's try to test our knowledge with some questions. The first one, the insurable interest means. Now, there are two answers, two statements. Statement A says legal right to insure. Statement B says have suffered financial loss. So, what is the correct answer? A. Both statements are correct. B. Both statements are wrong. Statement A is correct and statement B is correct. Yes, what's the answer? According to our explanation, insurable interest means the answer A. Both statements are correct because for an insurable interest, both requirements has to be met. Let's move on to our next question. One of the fundamental principles of life insurance is A. There is an insurer and policyholder, utmost good faith, insurable interest, both B and C. Fundamental principles of life insurance. Yes, it is D. That is both B and C. Why? Because it is very important to have utmost good faith and insurable interest for a life insurance. Facts which needs to be disclosed. Facts of common knowledge. Facts which lessen the risk. Facts which everyone is supposed to know in general. Family history. We learn in facts which needs to be disclosed, some are not important, some are very important. So in look at this information, the material facts would be family history because it has a direct relationship with the premium of your policy. Now I hope you have an understanding about the three key principles and also how their application. So hope you have a better idea now on the life insurance principles. Thank you very much.